Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another Timepieces for Tomorrow episode. And within this video, I'm going to talk about the Tudor Black Bay 58 versus the Omega SeaMaster 300M. Now this is one of the older reference Omega SeaMaster 300Ms. It has the aluminum bezel and it has the blue wave dial, as you can see there. And what I want to talk about within this video, I think this is a fair comparison because both of these have ceramic bezels. Obviously, your current reference, Omega SeaMaster 300Ms, they're going to have ceramic bezels. So, should you get the Tudor Black Bay 58, or should you get the Omega SeaMaster 300M with the blue wave dial? So, let's go through a few things here. So, first of all, let's talk about the bezel. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to make a sound here. So you can hear the bezel action. That is a 120 click bezel. It goes from 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock. It's 120 clicks. Now we're going to do the Tudor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only a 60 click bezel. Sounds nice, very well made, you know, like a Rolex. Now, obviously, the current reference Submariner is going to have a 120 click bezel action. What I will say about the Tudor Black Bay 58 is that the way they've designed this bezel, it feels better on your fingers, especially if your fingers are wet because you've been swimming or diving. You're probably going to find that the bezel on the Tudor Black Bay 58 is easier to grasp. Now, both of these, as you can see here, now this piece I've owned a lot longer. You can see I've got a scratch in the aluminum bezel, and that's because I ran into a cubicle and it scratched it on a sharp corner. So that can happen. But you can also see the bezel on this is very faded. It's developed what's called patina, which is a desirable characteristic in the eyes of a lot of wristwatch collectors. So, you know, like the Omega SeaMaster 300M that I've had for a really long time, the Tudor Black Bay, this rather dark bezel, aluminum bezel, is going to develop patina over time. So, you know, it's newer now. I've only had this one for about a year or so. So, you know, it hasn't been out in the salt water, in the pools, the hot tubs. It hasn't experienced the elements for as many years as my Omega SeaMaster 300M has. Another notable characteristic of the Tudor Black Bay 58 is the sapphire crystal. You can see how it's got a dome type look. It gives it more of a vintage look. When you look at the Omega SeaMaster 300M, it's got a little bit of a dome to it, but it's not that pronounced dome look that you get with the Tudor Black Bay 58. This has a helium release valve. A lot of desktop divers are like, man, what do I need that for? But it's there. This also has crown guards. Looking at the Tudor Black Bay 58, the Tudor Black Bay 58 has no crown guards, and it doesn't have that helium release valve. The bracelet on the Tudor Black Bay 58 has a taper. It also has faux rivets, fake rivets, which is a topic for dispute. But the bracelet is very comfortable, and it utilizes screws for resizing. See, uses screws, man. So, you know, the fact that it uses screws, that is a you know, typically when you're dealing with timepieces, the fact that it uses screws, a lot of people prefer screws in a bracelet over pins. Not saying that makes the Omega SeaMaster 300M cheap, because it doesn't. It uses pins. I've had no problems with this. The bracelet on the Omega SeaMaster 300M is not tapered. So it definitely gives it a more dated type look, in my opinion. The Tudor Black Bay 58, definitely a nice taper. The clasp on the Tudor Black Bay 58 even has these, like, I think that's some sort of See that little thing right there when this clasp closes? It's like little balls. Is it Teflon or what's that material? Y'all comment below and tell me what it is. But it looks like it's probably going to add to the longevity of this piece. I just cut my fingernail, so it's kind of hard to get that open there. Hold on. There we go. So, very nice. If you've worn a Rolex, you'll feel right at home. The bracelet feels very similar. The, it doesn't have a glide lock type clasp. And curiously enough, the Tudor does not have a dive extension. So check out what you get with the Omega SeaMaster 300M Blue Wave dial. You can pop this end out, you get a dive extension. So if you got a wetsuit or something, The clasp on this, you can see, is very well worn. The bracelet that Omega put on this is very high quality. Again, it doesn't have a taper like the Tudor Black Bay 58 has, but it's very comfortable. The fact that this has crown guards, it's comfortable, but I found that it kind of digs into one's arm if you wear them tighter. I wear my timepieces kind of tight. That's just how I do it. I like a very fitted bracelet or strap. Personal preference. The red on the seconds hand, that's a desirable characteristic. Also the blue wave pattern. If you've got 4K, crank it up and see the detail. Adds a very exciting look to the dial. The text down here is somewhat limited. It says SeaMaster Professional Chronometer, 300 meters, 1,000 feet. Well, what does the Tudor say? It says 200 meters, 660 feet, chronometer officially certified. So these are both certified chronometers, but this one is only rated to 660 feet, whereas the Omega SeaMaster 300M is rated to 1,000 feet. If you're going that deep, you've probably got problems anyway. I mean, most of us will probably be wearing this to a desk and maybe hopping in a pool or a hot tub. The side of this the side of this case of the Tudor Black Bay 58 is polished. The sides of the Omega SeaMaster 300M, they're brushed. So what does that mean? It means that I've worn the heck out of this thing and it shows less scratches. Now, this part's polished. The lugs are polished. So it adds a good look. Now, see that right there, that ding I got in it? Man, I hit something hard. I think that was back right after college. I think I'd been partying or something, and I ran into I think I flailed my arm around or something and hit something hard, and it put an indentation in the case. I mean, you can feel it, you can see it. But, I'm one of these with timepieces. I don't polish them. I let them get all janky. And, every imperfection is a memory. That's something that happened. So, good stuff. This is an exceptional timepiece. I've never had it serviced. It's never leaked. It still keeps excellent time. Sure, it's not keeping COSC, C-O-S-C, certified time at this point in time. I would need to get it serviced. But it's great. And again, the patina, because this has an aluminum bezel, and I've worn it a ton in oceans, hot tubs, saunas, spas, you name it. I shower with it. So, yeah, it's an exceptional choice. And then the Tudor, again, only had it for over a year or so. Great piece, very comfortable, has a vintage look, but you're getting a 72-hour power reserve. Now, I don't know how many hours of power reserve the Omega SeaMaster 300M has. Comment below and tell me, educate me, because I forgot to look that up. But I'm pretty sure it's not 72 hours. So, if you've got a few timepieces or just a couple, this Tudor Black Bay 58 with a 72-hour power reserve, you could wear something else, and then this would be, in theory, if you wore it enough to completely, let's say, charge it up, it'd be a great one to rotate with another piece, maybe a dress watch or something. But, which one should you get? That's a matter of personal preference. Now, with the Tudor, it's always going to have that stigma. It looks like a Rolex, but it's not a Rolex. And for your non-watch collectors, people aren't going to understand what it is. And if you're getting it for status or whatever, and you're not a watch enthusiast, you would probably be best advised to stay away from the Tudor. Because if you're that type of person, you probably just need to get a Rolex Submariner. With that being said, the Omega SeaMaster 300M with the Blue Wave dial is a very well-respected timepiece. It's been worn by actors. You know, you've seen the fictitious character James Bond. This is one of the watches like he likes. So, you know, it's got name recognition. It's got on-the-wrist recognition, even by people that may not be watch enthusiasts. You know, maybe just people that are movie buffs. When they see an Omega, they know what an Omega is. When your average Jane or Joe on the street sees a Tudor, well, what's a Tudor? You know, and they may know enough about it. They may look at it and be like, it looks like a Rolex. Is that a Rolex? And you're like, no. And then they just kind of write it off. They're like, you know, in their mind, they think it's like a fake Rolex or something. And that's not it. You know, Tudor is one of those, you know, this is a timepiece that enthusiasts collect. You know, so you've already gotten a Rolex or two. You've already gotten a few Omegas. And you want to move on and get something cool. This is super comfortable, super well made. You know, I would say, I mean, obviously Rolex quality, you know, forget about the brand on the dial. But in my opinion, you're getting Rolex quality with this. Near Rolex quality, you're not getting the fine touches. The bracelet, although tapered, you can see it's not a perfectly smooth taper. And they say that's intentional to give it the vintage type look. The dial finishing, you know, they're not using white gold. I think it may be rhodium. I think that's what somebody said. It looks very nice, but if you put this under a microscope and then say a Rolex Submariner under the microscope, the finishing, the polishing of the hands, everything on that Rolex is going to be to a higher level. To the naked eye, most people aren't going to notice the differences. You know, with that being said, if you just want a watch that is super comfortable, wear anywhere, swim with it, shower with it, whatever you want to do, make sure that crown's screwed down. But yeah, this is a great choice. If you want something that's probably going to always remain more collectible, something that's probably going to remain always more recognizable, you know, a vintage. I don't know if I call this vintage. This would be, I think this came out in, was it around 2000 or so? So, you know, it's not like super old where it's like really dated technology, but obviously this is pre-coaxial. You know, Omega's timepieces now, they use the coaxial movement or the master chronometer movement. This is before that. I think this is an ETA-based movement. Comment below and correct me. Tell me. But exceptionally well done. And that blue wave dial on this really makes a statement. And so does the red hand. See the tip of red on the second hand? And see, it's the details, it's the subtle details that count. You know, not to mention just the history of the, excuse me, of the Omega SeaMaster 300M. It's kind of the leader. With that said, which of the two do I like the most? And again, I've worn this for, let's see, 20 years or so. A long time. And I've worn this for about a year, a little bit over a year whenever I got it. I forget. Check out my older videos and you can see those. But which one do I like the most? Honestly, and that one thing I didn't mention, look at the size here. The one of these two that I like the most is actually the Tudor Black Bay 58, and I've owned it for a shorter period of time. The main reasons, I like the 39 millimeters. It feels great on the wrist. I like that it has no crown guards. I like that it doesn't have the helium release valve. I like that the bracelet is tapered. It just, overall, the bracelet feels more comfortable. Omega did an exceptional job with the bracelet, but according to today's standards, that SeaMaster's bracelet's a little bit dated. So, you know, I'm not trying to give the Omega SeaMaster 300M a bad name. I'm just stating the truth here. You know, I don't have an allegiance. I don't have an allegiance to either of these. I mean, I like both, but you know, if I didn't care about what other people thought or said, and I just wanted something that was comfortable and something that I feel is, you know, I mean, this is superior tech. You're getting 72-hour power reserve. I mean, Tudor is a sister brand of Rolex. Omega's awesome. You know, I would pit Omega and Rolex pretty closely together. But as far as this is concerned, between these two, for the history, the name recognition, and the potential of better future resale or trade if you choose to do so, I would lean towards the Omega. For something that looks old, feels more comfortable on the wrist, but has current tech, I would go with the Tudor Black Bay 58. Hope this video helped. You know, again, both of these are exceptional timepieces, and either one would be, in my opinion, an excellent decision. With that said, you know, these are my opinions. You know, I'm not steered in one direction or the other. You know, I state my honest opinions here on Timepieces for Tomorrow, and I hope you do too. So comment below. Tell me what you think. What's your favorite? Do you like the Tudor? Do you like the Omega? Why? Comment below. And be sure to subscribe. And when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Oh, and check out, subscribe and ring that bell, and check out my Timepieces for Tomorrow live shows. We talk about wristwatches live. Great, entertaining, possibly educational. Just a good experience for all age groups. Zero profanity. Everything on this channel remains clean. Tell me what you think, and y'all have a good day, and I really appreciate your viewership. Hey y'all, Captain Irix Guy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/Irix Guy. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.